And welcome to another edition of the Bottom Line. I'm very, very fortunate today. I've got a gentleman called Drew Robins, who's from what is it? It's full. I just know you as FBS, but it's Full Business Spectrum Consulting. Is that correct, Drew?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Hi, Jay. How are you?
Oh, I'm good, mate. I'm good, mate. How have you been?
Yeah, look, very well. Very well. It's been a great year, but yeah, I've got to be honest. Christmas is coming and I'm looking forward to the break.
Look, I think we're all like that. Listen, what we'll do, we'll just play a couple of songs, and then we'll come back after the break, and we'll find out a little bit more about what you do.
Hello? Hello? Is there anybody there?
Being a solo business owner can be lonely. Generating new business on your own is challenging. Thankfully, there's Be Connected Business Networking, where the members are committed to helping each other. And when they meet someone who could use your products or services, they recommend your products and/or services. It's as simple as that. It's called Be Connected Networking. Being member of Be Connected is like having dozens of other professional business people looking for business opportunities for you. So you're definitely not alone.
For more information, go to BeConnectedWorld.com. Be Connected, generating new business by helping one another.
And we're back. So, mate, so you're on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, yeah. So Currumbin Valley, lovely, lovely part of the world. 10 minutes from the rainforest, 10 minutes from the beach.
So
Uh,
really, it's only just Gold Coast, really, isn't it? Yeah, you're right at that bottom end. You're nearly in New South Wales.
well, look, nearly, but not.
So,
But
look, first question I've got to ask, mate. Right, clearly a pomp. Yeah, you Australian?
no, Australian.
You are Australian.
Yeah, Mark's been winding me up about this for ages about the cricket, but no, no, Melbourne born and bred, but left when I was 21 and headed over to your part of the world, and Europe, and was over there for nearly 30 years.
Right. So you've picked up the accent. See, I didn't actually. I've known you for what, about a year, and I didn't even know you were Australian. And you can't blame me for my assumption on that because for the listeners don't know. Your wife's father, so your father-in-law, is
Yeah.
from the same shithole little town that I'm from in the north of England. And there's only about 3,000 people who live there. So it's a small world. So you can understand why I thought you were a pom, and you do sound like it.
It depends who I'm speaking. It depends who I'm speaking to. Some days the Aussie comes out,
Yeah.
particularly around cricket. But no, in terms of born and bred Melbourne. But then when I was over there and realised I'd been there longer than I'd been in Australia, I thought, right, okay, book a flight. Time to
Yeah.
get back.
Time to come back. And that's when you came back with the wife.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. And so originally from Melbourne, bummed around Europe, UK. Why the Gold Coast?
Well, funny. I spent my childhood here. So my grandparents retired to Tweed, and yeah, I got chucked on a bus from the age of 8 at Spencer Street Station in Melbourne, and you know off with $20 to the driver to look after me, and yes, sent up to the Gold Coast. So when we were looking at coming back to Oz, nobody wants to live in Melbourne,
No.
and yeah, the Gold Coast was a good option.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, all right. So look, let's move on to Full Business Spectrum Consult or FBS. So I just know it as FBS. So,
Yeah.
there's a phrase in there, fractional, right? It's coming out a lot these days. Tell me about Full Business Spectrum.
Okay, so in that time that I was overseas, predominantly working in manufacturing and business to business sort of management. So yeah, so I work as a fractional COO or CRO, and a fractional employee or a fractional consultant, sorry, is somebody that has a high level of expertise that can be hired essentially on a part-time basis, or I tend to work on a project basis. That somebody can say, right, I've got a problem with founder dependency, or I've got an issue with onboarding staff, and I need to set up procedures and policies. So I can say, right, okay, it's going to take me X amount of time to do it. This is the day rate, and away we go. So it's similar to a what a business coach or an advisor would do in terms of identifying problems. But the difference with a fractional worker is you actually go and then solve the problem. So you actually work within the business to actually resolve the problem. So
Ah,
rather than a coach, I think, sort of giving you a list of jobs to do, I go in and do them. It's still up to the business owner or the manager to then sort of say, yes, we want to go down that route or not. But they're not having to hire employees. They're not having to take people off their existing jobs to solve the problem. The problem gets solved for them, handed back as a package. They then say, thank you very much. We now need to do this, or thank you very much, job done.
right. Yeah, because most coaches they don't actually they just tell you what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Or
I think the problem for businesses at the moment is everybody's at capacity. You know, the number
yeah,
of times that a coach would say, you know, we've got a list of 10 things to do, you know, the client only got two of those things completed.
yeah.
You know, it's again, you've got to acknowledge that there's a time constraint for everybody, and that's where the fractional workforce can come in.
And it's actually so it's more it's like coaching but results based, and you make sure the
Oh,
results
absolutely.
happen.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. So,
beautiful.
I've worked with companies on an open-ended basis, and I've worked with companies on a project basis, and I've had far more problems with the open-ended ones because they forget the work you've done from day one, and it then becomes routine. And it's like, oh well, I could do that, you know. So again, whereas if you have a project-based assignment where you say, right, we need to fix X problem, then that might take 2 months, 3 months, 1 month, 1 day, whatever that would be. The problem solved. Great. Everybody's happy. Everybody's clear about what the investment is in time, their resources, and you move forward.
You're listening to Be Connected Radio, where business meets, well, more business really. Be Connected Radio. Listen, connect, collaborate.
Okay, so look, before the break, we were talking about you effectively solve problems, right? So I know when I've spoken to you, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get my head around exactly what you do. Um, there's a couple of people who've been connected well live like, what does he actually do? Give us an example of a problem that you've solved.
Okay, so a problem that I'm working on at the moment is a business that is changing direction. So this business builds on site. So they build essentially granny flats on
Okay.
site.
Yeah.
So they have identified that these buildings are relatively small. Build times are around 20 weeks to complete. So that's a lot of disruption for the homeowner within that time. So they've contacted me to say, right, can we turn this into a modular business, or can we add, sorry, a modular element where it gets built in the factory, it's quicker, less disruption on site? That's the question. So again, I've been in there for about 2 months now, just at 1 day a week with them. And we're formulating or just finalising a plan that will mean that they can increase the stock that they build. So from the 100 that they were building, they can now do an additional 100 units without any additional resource. So
Right.
that, and again, the knock-on effect for the customer is they can build those within 4 weeks. So that
Yeah.
within all the on-site stuff, connections, that can be done and dusted in 4 weeks. So the disruption to the customer, they've only got builders on site 4 weeks rather than 20 weeks. So again, there's a lot of things that need to be taken into account and designed, or systems to design, rather than building on site to build in a warehouse, because speed is of the essence.
Yeah.
But again, so that's one engagement I'm currently working on. Another is a founder dependent business where, look, we all know as small business owners, you know, everything goes through you. But if you're looking to scale, if you're looking to franchise, or you're looking to sell, that makes it very difficult to achieve that. So I'm working with 3 other businesses that are looking at sort of having policies and procedures in place for various reasons. One's looking to sell, one's looking to franchise, one's looking to just make life easier or reduce the amount of hours they work. So I'm with them saying, right, okay, let's work out the decision matrices. Let's work out, you know, how the business can think, and let's design that person out of the business. So that way they've got then a model that can be either sold, franchised, or reduce the hours that they do. So that's another sort of key element.
So here's a question you were not expecting. All right, leading on from that. Okay, so you're teaching these businesses how to put themselves out, right? Look, you've known me for a while. With Be Connected World, my face was on everything, and slowly we've had to transition my face out because if we ever sell it, it can't be me that they're buying, right? What are you doing in your own business because you are so hands-on with your clients? What's your exit strategy? Because let's face it, right? We're not spring chickens, mate. I mean, I know you're younger than me, but what's your plan? Do you want to be doing this until you're 70, or give us an insight as to how you plan on exiting your own business this way?
Look, I think technology is going to allow me to do it longer. I think if we went back 10 years ago, I would say, yes, it is. Look, I've run very large teams for for corporate businesses. It's not what floats my boat. Actually going in there in the trenches and solving the problems is what I enjoy. Whether in 10, 15 years I'm doing it 5 days a week, I'm doing it, the amount of hours that I'm doing at the moment, that can obviously change. But with technology, the use of technology, so into everything I do, I record. So I record the steps that I'm doing, and I create, the decisions that I've come to, and the solutions I've put forward are all recorded. So at some point, yes, I can design those into procedures and practices that potentially could be taught, could potentially be passed on to somebody else or sold. But as I say, as an exit strategy, I actually enjoy what I do. I can't ever, I can't ever see myself not
Yeah.
doing anything. But again, I think as time goes by, I'll be allowed to be a lot more picky about the jobs that I want to take on.
Yeah. No, I get the concept of you enjoy what you do. I turn up to some of our networking events and there's bets on the table. How long will Jay go before he jumps up and just starts running the show again? So, I get it. You love what you do. You can't help yourself, and that's fine. All right. So, just going to say quick, mate, play a little bit of music, and then I'm going to come back and I want to pick your brains on something else. So, we'll just play a couple of songs.
You're listening to Be Connected Radio, where business meets, well, more business, really. Be Connected Radio. Listen, connect, collaborate.
All right. What I want to go through now, because you're very active out there in the networking community. All right. So I want to pull the focus away from full spectrum. Okay. You're out there. Most of our listeners are small business owners. All right. And yeah, I'm a firm believer that you don't know what you don't know. So you're out there. You actually run a Be Connected World meeting down in Chugan, at the south end of the Gold Coast there, right? And I know you also attend other Gold Coast meetings, and you're heavily involved. What are you seeing out there at the moment in that business landscape that's causing problems for people? Because not everybody's doing it great, and it's not just down to some people are good business owners, some are bad. I mean, some of it is. But what are you finding out there just in the general business communities going on at the moment?
Oh, look, I think it's probably a fairly universal thing at the moment. Cash is hard to keep. Cash is hard to get, and cash is hard to get. And I think businesses are really having to choose what they're doing. Whereas a business previously might, for example, networking, they might have been involved in numerous different networking opportunities, but they're really now having to look at the value that those networking opportunities and everything that they do. It's not just networking, but they're really having to look at the sort of cash value in terms of their time, what they're paying. Again, it's a great thing about Be Connected. It's not just networking, having those extra things like the CRM, having your dashboard available to be viewed by millions of people. You really need to be looking at what you're getting for your dollar that you spent, what you're spending your time on in terms of what you're investing your time in promoting your business, and making sure you're getting that return.
I think what's one of the things I'm noticing. A lot of people out there, because I've still run a couple of my own groups locally down here, and I run one of the online ones. People, you're spot on with the, money's hard to get and it's even harder to keep. I think this new generation of AI and all these quick things that keep popping up, it's $30 a month, it's $50 a month, it's only $97 for a lifetime. Like, I think people are finding shiny object syndrome. And they're just, they'll see an ad that goes, this will save your business. No, bloody won't. But I think they're still going out and spending it. I think that's affecting a lot of people's cash flow. What do you think?
Look, absolutely. I had a talk at well, actually the Gold Coast and the Tugan meeting last week on shock tactics. So that companies are, or certainly those companies that are looking at selling, those subscriptions are relying on shock tactics
Mm.
to really create those shiny pieces of paper and grab people's attention. But I think all of the AI, all of these various things are great, but you still need to do the job behind it.
Yeah.
AI is a tool. AI is a tool, and all these things are tools to do the job. They won't do the job for you.
Mm.
I think you said it. Shit in, shit out. Um, you know, very much applies that if you buy one of these things and you use it once and you don't get to know how to do it or how to work it or how best to make it work for your business, you won't get value. And I think
Yeah.
that's the key thing, is actually, having the procedures and policies in place first to say, right, this is what we need to do, then finding the technology that then can deliver that
Mm.
for you, rather than being attracted to a shiny piece of paper saying, oh, this does bells and whistles. It may not be what your business needs.
Yeah, I think you hit it spot on there. I wrote a paper last week for Business New South Wales for one of their business centres, and it was along the lines. How many people do you think are ready to make a buying decision? I did a blog about it on Be Connected World as well. 3% of the people out there, whatever the market, whatever the product, are ready to buy today. And shock tactics then come out. Because if you think about it, right, 3% of all the people in your marketplace and then all of your competitors, there isn't much money in there. So people are reverting to those shock tactics instead of doing that. Let's build a network. Let's nurture that network. Let's educate that network so that when those people do get into, I am now ready to make a buying decision, you've already built that trust. Yeah. And I think, I go to other networking events outside of ours, and what I see is I see people going in and they're just trying to sell, 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 sell. They're chasing that 3%. And it just comes across as tacky. And people just, they want to run a mile. I'm not ready to buy now. Let's build the relationship. And I think a lot of business owners, they're starting to get desperate. And I've seen people that I know are what I would class as a good networker. They're not going to come in and they're not going to sell, but they start getting desperate. And then all of a sudden, they start to sell. And these people have spent years building relationships. And then as soon as you start to chase that 3%, you lose it. So,
Look, absolutely. I think I learned a very valuable lesson being in business during the GFC in Europe. Again, the effect on business.
yeah, because you copped it worse over there than we did over here.
Oh
A
yeah,
lot
I
worse.
don't know how many times worse or whatever. But again, it was for business owners and senior people within business, it wasn't a comfortable time. But I think businesses need to remember, and I think you're exactly right with your networking. Businesses and people need to remember what got their standing in the first place, what built them to be what they are. And I think that creates an identity. But again, it's very easy to do short-term strategy or create short-term strategies to try and grab a bit of extra volume here or there that can really fundamentally damage the reputation that you might have built up over 10, 15 years. As I say, it's you're far better off in those circumstances on concentrating on what you're good at and going back to basics and really following those steps and making sure you are delivering value and that you are, being true to what true to your beliefs and true to what you've built up.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Joe, that's pretty much us out of time. It's been absolutely fantastic chatting to you. Really appreciate you catching up. I'm back up your way in February, so make sure I think I'm actually there on a Tugan week. So I might even come down to the Tugan meetings. I don't think it's the only one I haven't been to yet. So we'll come down there. So, Drew, thank you very much for coming.
No worries, Jay. It's been great.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Guys, that's us for another week. Join us next week and we'll have another business superstar having a bit of a chat.
Hello? Hello? Is there anybody there?
Being a solo business owner can be lonely. Generating new business on your own is challenging. Thankfully, there's Be Connected Business Networking, where the members are committed to helping each other. And when they meet someone who could use your products or services, they recommend your products and/or services. It's as simple as that. It's called Be Connected Networking. Being member of Be Connected is like having dozens of other professional business people looking for business opportunities for you. So you're definitely not alone.
For more information, go to BeConnectedWorld.com. Be Connected, generating new business by helping one another.